Well, to talk about plot twist, Casey Johnson just reported that there is some interest now from the Chicago Bulls to repair the relationship and potentially keep Zach Lavine. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
Tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red, yeah, I see red, I see red, I see red, I see red.
All right, this is about as breaking news as we have ever gotten. The podcast just posted. Casey Johnson just reported that the Chicago Bulls have some interest in what a Josh Giddey and Zach Lavine pairing could look like, and are now interested in seeing if they can repair the relationship between the Bulls and Zach Lavine. This is pretty big. Now, I want to break it down from the ins and outs. On the basketball court, is there kind of a natural way that you can see Josh Giddey and Zach Lavine working out? Yes, I will say that their skills are complementary to each other. That's not the problem. It's not a problem that you see that potentially working out for the Bulls. I mean, well, on the basketball terms of it. The now questions that you have to ask yourself is, if you do see that pairing as being something that you feel you can build around, what do you do with the rest of your roster? DeMar doesn't fit that. Nikola Vucevic may not fit that. Right now, if DeMar goes away, potentially. And what does that mean for Kobe? What does that mean for Io, right? Now, is there a world in which the Bulls may start Josh Giddey, Kobe White, Zach Lavine at the 1, 2, and 3? Yeah, but I don't see that being a lineup that has too much success potentially, but maybe that's just me. And ultimately, this is such a now change of direction when it comes down to it that, hey, this is going to be triggering for a lot of Bulls fans because this again goes to the continuity aspect, or not really continuity. Adding Josh Giddey is enough to say that it's not continuity. That's a pretty significant change, and you look at the way he's probably going to be used on the Chicago Bulls team. But at the same time, it's such a change in direction potentially. Is that all right? How now you have to do you let DeMar walk for nothing? Right? Do you see Patrick Williams fitting in that as the 4? Do you still go out and find a more mobile big? Because I think that's still something you're going to need. And it's just so many questions that are raised. And this could be a byproduct. To me, I'm also not somebody who I'm not going to overlook the fact that, is this more so the Bulls trying to sell on something or try to convince them of something because the market just isn't what they want it to be for Zach Lavine? When you try to trade a player and that market is just not there, you do have to raise some questions on, all right, are they now more interested in repairing it because they just don't see it? It maintaining with Zach Lavine, right? Do they or being able to get a deal back that they feel is favorable? There's a lot of questions that then come about because of this now rumor and type of news. But you got to ask yourself, that the Bulls have to look at it and ask themselves, is this really the right decision for their roster? We got Steve-O coming in the building. Where'd he go? I got to press this. What's going on, Steve-O?
What's the deal? What's the deal?
How you feeling, bro? How you feeling?
I'm conflicted. I'm a little conflicted because, like, at this point, like, I didn't had it in my hearts of hearts that we was moving on from the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, I don't think none of us really know the magnitude of how any of each party really feels.
Yeah.
Because it ain't like it been nasty. Like, we've seen way more speculation and potential departures of any other team, any other player that been way worse. It kind of been on the low for the most part, so we don't really know how far gone or how bad the relationship was tainted between each party, between Zach and the team, or Zach and the ownership or coaching. So with this being moved, yeah, I do understand. Like, yeah, with what Josh Giddey brings to the table, he does fit more with a Zach, and especially with everything. Like, I know everybody kind of feels a way about the trade, but like, this is what we've been asking for. Like, if we wasn't gonna get a big, the next best thing was a playmaker. We got the playmaker that's gonna free up Kobe, because we all know Kobe is a combo guard for the most part. If he's out there playing free, a free Kobe is looking to score him for most of the time. It's not to be a game manager, be a point guard. That's gonna free him up. I don't think it's really going to affect Io depending on what the roster is right now. That's another thing. We
That's
don't know how the
fair.
roster is going to be.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's going to affect them because we've seen him be that 6-man row. We see him step in and be a starter in some cases. So I'm good with him. But besides that, my only concern is I just don't want to run Zach and DeMar back.
Yeah.
That's my only thing. I don't want to see that no more. But
Hold on. Let me correct this. Nathan, you're wrong. If it's top 10 protected, if it was number 1 overall, the Bulls would keep the pick. That's how to point that out. The pick is top 10 protected.
yeah.
Go on, Steve.
Yeah, but that's pretty much my feelings on it. Like like I said, because I don't think it's that much fire going on, and it's not that the relationship is not that tainted as most people think. I think I can see why he's rethinking or they're trying to rehash that relationship because that move makes sense to keep him.
Yeah, I mean it does. Like, and that's why I try to look at it the basketball aspect. The fact is that yes, Zach Lavine and Josh Giddey do on paper pair well together. They do everything that Josh Giddey lacks. Zach Lavine basically brings, and I won't say like it's not as perfect as Lonzo. Like Lonzo Ball was the perfect point guard next to Zach Lavine because all of his strengths covered up Zach Lavine's weaknesses. Zach and Josh have similar weaknesses defensively, but on offense, it's a nice synergy between their two skill sets. And I think at that point, if you're going with the lineup of Josh Giddey, Zach Lavine, Kobe in there somewhere, you need defenders. And I think that if that is the now where the Bulls are mindset wise, it highlights the fact that you have to get a defensive center in this draft. You have to.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And you got 2 defensive centers you can target. We had a good place in the draft where I think one, if not both, one of them is going to be available. And it's all about what you kind of do. I know they were talking about possibly moving up. I don't know if that's some of the same noise that's going to be happening now that they're starting to make moves like that. What's your thoughts? Do you think that's still in talk of possibly moving up in the draft?
I think that that's still something that the Bulls will explore. I do think that I believe that there's serious interest in Donovan Clingan, and they think Donovan Clingan is the center for them. But I also think the Bulls aren't in a rush to give up a ton of assets to make that deal happen. So I do think that they are exploring that. And one thing that we need to talk about is that if they are looking to keep Zach Lavine, I hope that Io and Kobe aren't the ones that are floated around and try to move up. In my opinion, I would hate that.
You know who I think is floating around, and people might not think it because it's AK, but if you really think about it, and who I think should be in that talk is Patrick. Honestly,
Yeah.
Patrick has shown not only that we don't know what he's going to turn into, but not only that, he's starting to not play most of the games of his career. And he's young. And I understand, like, he's young, he's going through things, but like when you just look at the value of people I still feel like if you float around Patrick, people are still gonna be intrigued because don't get it twisted. He's still a solid 3-point shooter.
That's a good point.
He's a good defender, like, and he has the potential to be an elite defender around the right type of people, and we believe we could possibly get him there. But like you said, we don't really understand. Like at this point, AK is saying one thing and the ownership is saying one thing. I'm trying to get a grasp of what vision they're going for, but the vision is a little weary to me. Like one is saying, I don't want to see this shit again. Then the one time we want to compete. And I'm like, you can't do both.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and the thing is that we've heard nothing. Like AK and Billy Donovan have both talked about how they do not, whatever changes that they make, they do not want it to impact Kobe White's role in this team. To me, if you are planning on having Josh Giddey and Zach Lavine, I'm interested to see how that role does not change. Because are you gonna start Giddey, White, and Lavine out there together? That's a crazy lineup, bro. That's at the 1, 2, and 3. If DeMar leaves, I don't. That's wild, bro. Like I don't. How do you see it shaking out, man?
I mean, DeMar there, I still don't see how that works because it's like, okay, then we possibly gonna put him at the 4, and I'm like, I definitely don't want him going.
The one thing, it would not surprise me if Billy Donovan plays DeMar at the 4. That's the part I wouldn't be surprised about at all. Like
and that's the thing, I don't want to see that shit.
I don't want to see it. Yeah, I don't want to see it. But
like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, you almost like maybe you just gonna at that point you just gonna ask more of guys Josh Giddey if you really think about it. Like, dude, if we gonna put you out here, you gonna have to play the best defense that you got at some point. Like, because at this point, still with this team, even with Caruso being gone, our best bet is going to be on the defensive side to try to get buckets on the transition. Because, like I said, until we fine tune, like if this the current roster, there's no change. I really hope we can get Vooch up out of here, but that's probably gonna be the toughest
Well,
one.
the thing is, if you're drafting a center in this draft, you got to have a backup center, unless they're ready to throw in the Dama
I take him as a backup. Like,
Yeah,
I
that's
take
what I'm
Vooch
saying,
as a
yeah.
back. Yeah, I take Vooch as a backup. I see Auntie Goon in there. What up, Auntie?
Auntie Goon in the building.
Bro. But I don't know. Like, it's so many. Like, bro, it's like we had a crossroads. Like, I could see us going so many directions. It's just how they feel about certain things. If they want to go like you, well, they kind of am going one direction, saying that they don't want anything to affect
That would
Kobe.
be picking the
yeah. So that's really the direction they really going with. So, like, to me, like I said, even if you put Josh Giddey in that starting lineup, I feel like that only is going to help Zach and Kobe. Because basically he's going to dish it to him in the right spots. Now, is that going to sacrifice on the defensive end? Probably. Yeah. But if that's the direction you got to go, you're going to have to switch up your offense and be like, all right, we got to be more of an offensive, efficient team if we're going to run this type of lineup versus the different type of lineups you want to throw out there.
Yeah. We'll see. But unfortunately, we got to cut this one out. I had a finite amount of time to be on this one. I'd love to chop it up with Steve-O and get more in the weeds of this one. But your boy got to go do Bleacher Report. So we'll be breaking this down more, as I'm sure more news and reactions will come out of this. You know how stuff like this usually goes. Once something's kind of put out there, then you start getting other analysts and pundits and things out there. But, well, I actually heard this. And we'll see what all gets into the weeds, man. But any last thoughts, Steve-O, before we get up out of here, brother?
Hey, just stay tuned. It's starting to pick up. Off season, it's about to get cracking.
Business is about to pick up. If you guys aren't subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. As you guys can tell, when news drops, we drop, period. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. In exchange for subscribing to the channel, I'm going to be delivering you the best and most consistent Chicago Bulls content on all of YouTube or podcasting forums. So make sure you guys stay tuned in.
Drop your Bleacher Report.
I don't have the link until I said it. Bleacher Report does a weird.
No, your
thing.
name, at least.
Oh, I mean, it's just Haize. Just go to Bleacher Report. Go to the Bulls page on Bleacher Report. As soon as I go live, there's probably already an event up there. You can be in there waiting on it. We'll be talking about the draft there. So make sure you guys stay tuned in for that, man. I love you guys. Go Bulls. See Red, y'all.